Hi, I'm Mark Ramsey from Mark Ramsey Media, and I want to talk to you today about a topic near and dear to the hearts of every broadcaster, namely, what are the listeners interested in? Specifically, what is she interested in? What does she want? What, in fact, do listeners want? It's one of the questions that we're always asking each other. We're always trying to get to the heart of how to better serve our audiences. Okay, so what do they want? Well, the problem is that the question itself is too narrow, that a listener is usually perceived as a pair of disembodied ears rotating, orbiting around a PPM device or an Arbitron diary. That is not what a listener is. In fact, listeners are people. Listeners are you, listeners are me. Listeners are flesh and blood, 3 dimensions, and listeners have concerns which are deep and varied. So what does that mean? Well, understand this, that when we talk about radio and we talk about listeners, we're talking about a media environment which is bigger than traditional media. Here are statistics from BIA Kelsey from 2009 to 2014. You can see the quote-unquote traditional media bar is falling over that time. The online interactive media bar is rising. Put another way, all of the growth, all of the net growth in media dollars will be coming from online interactive sources, not from traditional media sources. Now, at the same time, it's worth noting that first bar, that blue one, is really super big. It's really super big. It's super big now. It's super big in 2014. It's just plain super big. Don't let anybody ever tell you the market for advertising dollars is going to dry up. It's not. That said, the growth is coming from somewhere else. So when we talk about listeners, when we talk about people, we need to recognize that we're talking about consumption of our product, consumption of our content, consumption of our experience across platforms. There is no such thing as radio. There is only our brand and our brands across platforms and our audience and audiences and consumers across platforms. So that leads to the obvious question. If I'm going to target these people across platforms, why should they come to me? Which is another way of asking, what is your brand's purpose? Or put even another way, why in the world does your brand exist? This is a question that every great brand answers. This is a question your brand must answer if it's to have any relevance in this era or any other era. Why does your brand exist? Do you make it clear? Do you make it compelling? Is there a reason why I should care about you? The passionate brands are the ones that draw the attention and interest of consumers. No other does. Okay, once you've established your purpose, how do you determine what people want? I like to put it in 4 categories: the familiar, the fresh, the meaningful, and the interactive or social. Let's begin with the familiar. There is no medium that does a better job of fulfilling the familiar than radio. We're talking about something that is part of everyone's daily habit. It's utterly ubiquitous, and it is reliable. It works. Anybody who's ever tried to stream audio via 3G knows that while great, it is not necessarily the most reliable thing in the world compared to a good old trusty FM radio. All right, what about fresh? Now, familiar's great, but people wonder why radio doesn't get more positive PR. The answer, my friends, is that familiar isn't news, okay? Nobody talks about familiar. Nobody writes about familiar. Nobody does news stories about familiar. Familiar doesn't get you on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. That's the job of fresh. Fresh is something the radio has a lot of room to grow in across all its platforms. Fresh means you're solving a problem uniquely. Fresh means you're doing it with some flair, with some panache, with some surprise. You're delighting people. I like to tell people to create what I call an innovation quota. In other words, it's not important that everything you do is a home run. It's important that you come to bat often. So what you should be doing is saying, what 5 new things have we tried this week? And then you can assess at the end of that week or the next month what was successful and what wasn't. But the key is to come up to bat repeatedly. This leads to, I think, one of the most important lessons I want to leave with you today, and that is the lesson of the one thing. The one thing. Now, let me give you an analogy. Let me give you a story. I went to a coffee house here in San Diego. It's called Badass Coffee. And I tried their coffee. It was fine. They have some food products there. I haven't tried it. Do I know how great the menu is? No. Do they have the best mix of ingredients across all their platform of drinks and refreshments and beverages? No. I have no idea. What I know is that I tried a drink called a polar bear, which is a hot white chocolate. And folks, this drink was just sublime. I have been back to that place almost every day since at $3 a pop to get this particular drink. There is one thing, one reason, the one big thing that draws me to Badass Coffee, and that is that one drink. I don't care that the rest of the menu is good or bad. I only need one thing. My one thing is different from your one thing. So it's incumbent upon you, the broadcaster, to have enough one things that audiences are attracted to your proposition, and that because it's the one things that are the fresh elements, those are the things people talk about with each other. So what's your quota of one things? Do you have enough? If you fly JetBlue, then it may be that TV screen in the back of the seat. Does it have any bearing on your flight whatsoever? No, but it's the one thing that makes you go JetBlue. I know somebody who listens to a certain radio station morning show, not because of the morning show, not because the music on the station is targeted to her, but because it has one feature. It has one feature called War of the Roses, and that is the one reason why this woman listens to that one station every day. My wife will listen to the Howard Stern show, not because if Howard vanished tomorrow, it wouldn't be any big deal as long as Robin's News still existed at the end of the show. So she listens for that one thing. So what is your one thing? What are the one things that you're creating for your audience? And do you have enough of them? And are they compelling and potent enough? All of this means you need to understand that audience. You need to understand them across numerous variables. You need to understand why they come to your brand. You need to understand what they are coming for. You need to understand who they are across a variety of different dimensions that we rarely inquire about. Now, this can be done in one of two ways, asking or listening. If you're doing the asking questions of your audience, well, that's what companies like mine do, obviously. That's one of the services that I provide. There are things you can do, though, without hiring an outside company. That's called listening. There are a couple of ways to do that. One is listening via social media. This is a platform I use, which is a social media dashboard called Sprout Social that tallies all my interactions through Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn in my case. It shows you the demographics, who's new, who's following. It shows you my level of engagement and influence. It allows you to compare it to other companies. Here's the whole list of my inbox, all my Twitter messages coming in. Here are more statistics across Twitter showing interactions and engagement and influence and gender and so on. Here's a comparison from my company to another company, so you can actually compare your social media presence to theirs and your interactivity and your responsiveness and all kinds of other attributes. This is called listening, okay? That's one dimension of listening. Here's another. It's called get satisfaction. This is something that I am amazed more stations don't use because, frankly, I haven't found yet any stations that use it. Get satisfaction is a tool like My Starbucks Idea that allows people to give you ideas, to offer feedback to you, and the audience is able to vote on that feedback, and the best feedback rises to the top. And when the best feedback rises to the top, you can do the things that people care about most. You can make decisions about what's most important to you, and you can complete the loop, listening, responding, interacting, feedback, and it's all you. It costs next to nothing, and virtually no station does it. That's fresh. Let's talk about meaningful. When we're talking about meaningful, we need to recognize that the average listener, the average consumer, is three-dimensional. The average consumer is deeper than just the favorite mix of music right at this moment. That's a very shallow definition of people. That means you need to be cognizant of a bunch of variables that all swirl around one big long-term called well-being. Mental well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, social well-being, economic well-being. The goal here is It's one level of satisfaction to give people the music they like. That's easy. That's easily duplicated. That's easily commoditized. It's another level of satisfaction to make people's lives better and to improve their actual well-being along these various dimensions. Let's look at some examples. Kraft Foods, a maker of cheese. And here they have an iFood assistant with tons of recipes. I mean, this is an app that they create designed to improve the well-being of people who inadvertently use cheese for many of these recipes. You can see that this has nothing to do with selling cheese per se. This is about improving well-being, which halos over people's decisions about what they're going to buy at the grocery shelves, what cheese they're going to buy, etc. Nike. Nike understands this equation all too well. We're here to enable athletes to be even better. We don't do quote advertising anymore. We just do cool stuff. Advertising is all about awareness. We no longer need awareness. We need to become part of people's lives. In other words, promote well-being. That's why between 1997 and 2007, the proportion of ad budget at Nike on traditional advertising dropped from 55 to 33%. It's not that they were spending less money, it's that they were spending money in different, more meaningful, more impactful ways. One of those ways was on this, Nike Plus. I don't know if you're familiar with Nike Plus. If not, let me walk you through a little illustration.
Hey, I'm Annie, and I'm here to show you all the great things you can do with Nike Plus. Nike Plus helps you track your distance, pace, time, and calories burned while you run. After your workout, you can send your run stats to Nike Plus online, where you can set goals, join challenges, and connect with friends in the Nike Plus community. It's super easy to use, so let's get started. There are a lot of ways to run with Nike Plus. If you run with music, you can use a Nike Plus iPod-enabled device. If you run without music, the Nike Plus Sport Band will capture the same run data to send to Nike Plus online. To get started, all you need to do is place a Nike Plus sensor under the sock liner of a Nike Plus Ready shoe. Here's how it works. When you're on the run, the sensor talks to your Nike Plus device, which records your distance, pace, time, and calories burned. The Sport Band is super easy to use. One button starts, stops, and pauses your workout. The other one toggles through all your recorded information during and after your run. It's that simple. After your run, if you're using a Sport Band, just pop out the Nike Plus link and connect it directly into the USB port of your computer. If you're running with a Nike Plus iPod-enabled device, you can hear your running information at the touch of a button.
400 meters to go.
Along with all your favorite music. You can also set custom run programs on the fly, right on your screen. And check this out. If you feel your energy starting to dip, just press and hold your player's center button to fire up your pre-selected power song to give your run a turbo boost. For a Nike Plus iPod-enabled device, just sync through iTunes as you normally would. This automatically sends your run data to Nike Plus Online, where everything comes together. All your workouts from your Nike Plus-enabled device or Sport Band are stored here. With Nike Plus, you're a member of the world's largest running club, where you can connect with friends and use amazing tools to help improve your running. It's easy to review your workouts in the Run section. You can look at the details of any run on your run curve to see your progress over time. I personally like tagging my runs to keep track of things like the weather and terrain. At the top of the Nike Plus homepage, I can see my current running level. The more you run, the higher your level. Nike Plus also lets you set goals and track your progress with a personalized schedule. One of my favorite parts about Nike Plus is the challenge section. Join a competition that's already going on or create your own challenge. There's even a place to talk a little trash with your friends. Nike Plus Coach is a great feature that helps you train for a set distance or an event. Pick a training schedule created by our professional coaches. Ease into your first 5K or train for a personal best in the marathon. A Mini is your customizable Nike Plus alter ego. Watch it take on a life of its own with every mile you run. Share it with your friends to show off all your hard work. Map It lets you draw your running routes and find other great runs created by the Nike Plus community around the world. Now it's time to get social. Friends and Foes shows updates from your friends and lets you post your running activity to other social sites. Notifications is where you get messages, news, and invitations to new challenges. As you can see, Nike Plus is a great way to get more out of your run. If you want to learn more, check out the other videos in the support section at NikeRunning.com. Hope to see you running in Nike Plus soon.
I mean, is that amazing? Can you see, though, what they're trying to do here? That this doesn't have anything to do with selling Nike per se. This doesn't have anything to do with communicating to you the benefits of their running shoes per se. This has everything to do with your well-being, with making you a better runner. And when I can help you be a better runner, it's going to halo back on your feelings about me. The same is true for broadcasters, okay? If Nike is in the well-being business, then broadcasters have to be in the well-being business. We need to get out of the business of strictly and only playing people's favorite music and into the business of making their lives better. Here's another tool, one that Eukanuba, the dog food folks, use. You register here. You get a new puppy, register here. They will track you through the development of that puppy and be your friend and partner, answering questions as the puppy grows. I am constantly amazed that radio stations don't have more reasons and more motivation for listeners to register. If you don't get registration information, you don't have a relationship. If people don't feel they can give up something to you in exchange for value, then you don't have value to give. Army Strong Stories, you may have heard of this. The Army, a lot of people don't know, they have 100 volunteer bloggers. That's free, folks. 100 volunteer bloggers who write about the experience of being in the Army, which is great for potential recruits and also good for people in the armed services. This is a very social, very interactive, and very well-being approach that really has nothing to do with defeating dragons with fancy weapons. This has everything to do with people. Now, my own company, I've noticed over the past few years, I've gotten a lot more into this myself. I think you can tell from the stuff that I do. I'm much more interested now in providing education and instruction and guides and best practices and ways for people to be more effective at what they're doing as broadcasters. I'm a lot less into trying to convince you that I can ask a research question better than anybody else. This is an example from one of my clients, KTIS in Minneapolis, a system they've created called PrayerWorks. PrayerWorks is essentially a tool that allows you to submit a problem and then invite others to pray for you. And the prayer is in the form of a note. The notes go to the individual. People are notified that others are praying for them. They're sent the notes of prayer from those individuals. So it's a loop. You submit the problem, people respond. This is a way that radio stations can actually get their audiences to engage with each other for the betterment of all. Now, the obvious progression of something like this, when you're in non-commercial radio, as KTIS is, people are essentially paying for the good works that you do, but especially because you're on the air. They're paying for you to stay on the air. They're paying for the tower, for the signal. Increasingly, what we're going to see people paying for tools like this. Not paying to use the tool, but the value of KTIS is not just that it comes over the air into my car. The value of KTIS is that it solves a problem like this for me in a unique and special way. This is a huge, huge tool for them. This is a great tool in that space, and there should be more things like this done by more stations, commercial or non-commercial. Finally, interactive social. I'm not going to go into great depth on this because there are other presentations that can touch on this more effectively, and you know a lot about this topic already. The fundamental preference, though, is that you, the broadcaster, are not the brand. We, the audience, the consumers, we are the brand. We get to say what happens, and you need to listen to us. One thing that I have trouble believing is that even after all this time, with all the integration of Facebook into all sites online, still there's so little integration into the average broadcast site. This is a picture from the Huffington Post. Huffington Post has social elements, Facebook in particular, heavily integrated into their platform. They recognize me, there's my face. They recognize my comments. They recognize the things that I read. They recognize the things that my friends on Facebook read, if they allow that to be public. It socializes the entire experience. Why radio stations haven't done that yet en masse is frankly beyond me. Here's another representation. Huffington Post, front page, upper right-hand corner. That's my picture. That's your picture. Because ultimately, this site only matters if this site matters to you, which means that this is a customized version of the experience. There is no such thing as the generic anymore. This is an important point. There is only what matters to me. This is a picture from a client in Toronto, Boom 97.3. This was the front page of their website shortly after their introduction not long ago. They integrated Facebook. This is the bottom of the front page. They integrated Facebook so that people could make comments about the station on Facebook, on the website of the radio station that would echo to Facebook. So these comments were dynamic in real time, ever-changing comments by listeners right there on the front page of the website. A really obvious level of integration that almost never happens in radio. So again, 4 broad categories of things people want: the familiar, the fresh, the meaningful, and the interactive and social. Thank you so much for your attention.